It has become a staple in this channel that I love science docs. As a kid, I only really watched shows and cartoons with cool animals, monsters or aliens in them. Animal Planet, owned by Discovery, was like my Cartoon Network. He had shows from The River Monsters with Jeremy Wade. He would explore cool places in search of cool fish.
This Chernobyl catfish is under half the normal size for its age. Its stunted flesh harboring 16 times the usual level of radiation.
And even interview the locals about the folklore associated with said cool fish. That was a cool show. To the most extreme, that focus in very oddly specific animal features and then rank them, featuring some very weird body horror along the way. That was a very weird show. And if there was content I loved above everything else, was mockumentaries. Those were way up there with my dinosaur obsession. Dragons: A Fantasy Made Real was one of those mockumentaries. And unlike Walking with Dinosaurs, this one I did watch when it first aired in 2004, although I was basically a baby.
Dragons: A Fantasy Made Real. Coming this month. Only on Animal Planet. Go to dragonsarecoming.com.
Dragons: A Fantasy Made Real explored how dragons could have evolved and operated biologically, and how the many different dragon depictions in myths and folklore could fit in the dragon's evolutionary tree. And of course, one of the best parts of this mockumentary is the story of Dr. Jack Tanner.
Dr. Jack Tanner, paleontologist, an overnight celebrity.
He works as a researcher in a museum in London, but he's not respected by his colleagues in the field, mainly because he believes dragons exist. Yeah, that sounds like a good reason to me, but what do I know? He sees a few dark spots on a T-Rex skull and goes like,
These are scorch marks. Precise. Aimed.
he tries to prove his theories to the other paleontologists, but all of them low-key judge him and look at him like this.
Perhaps my childhood obsession had clouded my thinking.
Not gonna lie, that hits a bit too close to home, a bit too close for comfort. But wait, Dr. Tanner might be in luck, cause he just got the opportunity of a lifetime.
Last week, guess what? Out of nowhere, the Dragon Man is thrown a lifeline.
The Dragon Man. He is the Dragon Man. I love this guy. He is literally me.
Another find. Not Montana this time, but on a Romanian mountain.
He gets an invitation to study a preserved body in Romania with high suspicion that it might be a real dragon. A real one.
By one chance in a million. It's not a hoax. Maybe then I get my reputation back.
Together with two low-key judgmental assistants, Dr. Tanner investigates the body, and here is where the documentary takes off, no pun intended. As Dr. Tanner investigates the body and uncovers new information, we are presented with CGI scenes of the dragon's evolutionary history. From the Mesozoic proto-dragon, look at him fighting a T-Rex. What a lad. What a specimen. To post-mass extinction, he uncovers a false palate similar to the ones crocodiles utilize to better hunt underwater, telling us that dragons must have been aquatic at some point. This serves as a way to justify their survival to the mass extinction, and also as an origin to the sea serpent myth. Later they evolve, finding their way back onto land, initially living in forests, giving origin to the Chinese depiction of dragons, and eventually evolving into the classic European dragon that we all know and love. And they do all of this while addressing really important questions and coming up with hypothetical yet scientifically plausible answers. For example, they address the fact that dragons are usually depicted with 6 limbs, but no vertebrae has more than 4 limbs.
This creature has a genetic adaptation unlike anything in the animal kingdom, and wouldn't you know it? In the gene responsible for generating limbs.
and being able to fly with internal sacs filled with hydrogen and methane, even though the computer says no flight due to the proportions that were given to dragons. They explain how dragons could breathe fire by chewing platinum, igniting the oxygen and hydrogen. That's a pretty hot explanation.
We need a light, combustible material.
Like gas?
Now, what did you say was in these things? Hydrogen and methane?
How could I have been so stupid?
It's hydrogen and methane, both combustible gases.
The documentary is framed and shot as a normal narrative, following our protagonist, Dr. Tanner, and illustrating his findings, serving as both a purpose of entertainment and education. Edutainment at its finest. The people working on this documentary counted with the help of biologists, artists, and animators in order to bring these animals to life in a convincing way. However, they never try to outright deceive their audience. They leave it very clear that it's just a work of fiction and scientific speculation. It is in the title after all, Dragons a Fantasy Made Real, and it opens with this line.
This is the natural history of the most extraordinary creature that never existed.
However, as a 4-year-old, it confused me to shit. It was a documentary, why would it lie to me? Look there, there's the dragon. Come on, give me a break. I was 4. At least I didn't believe in Santa. Everyone knows Christmas pterodactyl is where it's at. First chapter is done. Oh wait, who are you? What are you doing in my house? I changed clothes. It is really important to mention dragons as it serves as a very good contrast to what comes next. In the time around February 2008, something changed. Viewership was tanking big time, so Animal Planet decided this was the perfect time to a major revamp in its programming and branding, a complete overhaul. Animal Planet dropped the iconic elephant in the logo in favor of any 3-hole planet with the cursed sideways M, and came up with a brand new slogan, surprisingly human, that serves very well as foreshadowing for things to come.
Animal Planet. Surprisingly human.
Mermaids: The Body Found aired on Animal Planet May 2012. And it is one of the most infamous and controversial pieces of media Animal Planet has ever produced. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you to watch it and then come back to this video. It is an hour-long documentary that, instead of presenting a speculative take on how mermaids could have evolved like what was done with Dragons, a Fantasy Made Real, years before, Mermaids: The Body Found dove deep into the hoax, presenting itself as an exposé about a group of ex-NOAA scientists that came across a new species, together with the US Navy and US government attempts to stop them and hide the findings.
How do you think people would respond if they knew we were killing an unknown species that was most likely the only surviving relative to humans? Whenever a leak happens, the military has a way of using its influence to make the general public believe what they want them to believe.
What the fuck? This is a conspiracy theory show mixed with a science doc.
I know this because I was part of the team investigating that beaching and what the Navy did that day. And I believe I know what it is that they took.
Oh shit. We are presented with our two main characters, Dr. Paul Robertson.
My name's Paul Robertson.
And Dr. Rebecca Davis.
I'm Rebecca Davis. I was a field biologist at NOAA.
And hear me out when I say this. This documentary slash mockumentary, whatever you want to call it, puts in the effort to make itself as deceiving and convincing as possible. Listen, these two are actors. They have IMDb pages. They have been in other things. And when the documentary cuts to a dramatized recreation of their narrative, we are presented with new actors playing their roles, which is normal in a normal documentary, but again, this is a fake documentary, so this is subconsciously telling us that these two are real doctors. Do you see what I mean? Together with the interviews and reenactments, we are also presented with CGI recreations of how mermaids could have evolved and operate biologically. Answer: kinda stiffly.
But what pulled them here? What drew them to the water's edge? It was food.
Now you can supersize your McDonald's extra value meal with a supersize order of our golden fries plus a large Coke for just 39 cents more.
But now for real, where do sea monkeys belong in our human evolutionary tree? Tell them, Paul!
Our theory was this was a new species of dolphin. But there's another theory we should have considered sooner. The aquatic ape theory.
No! No! It is not aquatic ape theory, it is aquatic ape hypothesis. Hello, post-production John here. This buffoon, idiot, dumbass, silly, mentioned that there's a difference between theory and hypothesis and did not explain it, so I'm here to rectify that issue. A theory is an explanation for a natural phenomenon, either here on Earth or in the universe as a whole, that can be repeatedly tested and verified according to the scientific method. A theory holds scientific knowledge because of that, because it holds to scrutiny and repeated scientific analysis and testing. A great example of this is the theory of gravity by Isaac Newton. While a hypothesis is a suggested solution for an unexplained or already explained natural phenomenon that does not fit the already accepted scientific theory. In a lot of cases, it proposes a completely different narrative altogether. A great example of this is Flat Earth. Just in case you're curious, a scientific law is basically a bunch of math equations that can help us predict a range of natural phenomena. Isaac Newton's laws of motion. These are a bunch of math equations that proved to be right before and are now used to predict outcomes in a reliable way. I hope I could clarify the mistakes of past me. Now back to the video. In this case, the aquatic ape hypothesis suggests that some of the traits unique to humans are actual adaptations so we could better hunt along the shoreline. Near hairlessness, webbing, excess body fat and so on. The punchline, none of these are exclusive to humans, let alone aquatic animals. A very good example. Elephants are nearly bald and they are not aquatic animals. You know, elephants, like the one you dropped from your logo, Animal Planet. I will find you. And other apes also have this so-called webbing between their fingers as well. It's not webbing, by the way, but they claim it to be webbing.
I know it's always been controversial.
Controversial is such a misleading way to present this. The aquatic ape hypothesis was not rejected because some weird conspiracy tells us that it just can't be true. It was rejected because there is no data backing these claims, while at the same time we have plenty of trustworthy data telling us where these traits came from already. You know who this is? This is Eileen Morgan, giving a TED Talk on how she believes we came from aquatic apes. I never expected sea monkeys to have lore. Sea monkeys, I knew it. Part of what makes this documentary so deceiving is how they interweave real scientific facts and real incidents with made-up bullshit.
The filmmaker, Charlie Foley, wanted. He told CNN that the show is based on real scientific and evolutionary theory and real-life phenomena. Rooting our story with facts encouraged a sense of intellectual possibility.
And they use those real incidents and facts to back the narrative they're trying to push on us. The bloop, for example, was this sound captured in 1997, and it was the loudest sound ever recorded underwater. For the longest time nobody knew what it was, till 2005 when it was recaptured closer to the Antarctic and found that it came from ice quakes, caused by an iceberg cracking and breaking away from the Antarctic glacier, which is happening more and more due to climate change. So, a lot of bloops. However, 6 years later, this documentary comes out and claims that the bloop is still a mystery, and in reality it was some kind of ultrasonic weapon developed by the US Navy, and it was behind the massive beaching incidents that happened around that time. And the body that gives the name to the documentary was found during one of those beaching incidents. Going back to the bloop. First they show us the real recording of the bloop, with the real recording subtitle and everything. But then the title fades out, and we are presented with a new portion of the sound that was completely made up.
There was another sound on the recording, an animal call, and we realized that this was a bloop signature. The same creature that Noah had recorded back in 1997, but in this case, our recording was much longer. It was the most complex, intricate animal call I'd ever heard.
This new portion of the bloop supposedly depicts whales, dolphins, and a mysterious new creature screaming at the pain caused by the sonar weapon. Do you see what I mean? With the interweaving real things with made-up bullshit? And if this wasn't bad enough already, they also changed or added details about certain things, like the cave of swimmers later on the documentary.
Recorded in ancient paintings that cover the cave walls. Archaeologists believe these may be among the oldest mythic images ever made by man. Are they the projected dreams of early fishermen, imagining themselves with tails, swimming out to catch fish with spears and nets? Or are they something else?
Neither. These paintings are fake. They talk about the Cave of Swimmers, which is an actual place where we can find Neolithic cave paintings of people swimming, which is fascinating on itself. However, here they claim that in reality it depicts interactions between humans and mermaids, claiming that in the same way we won the fight for survival against other hominid species, we also sent mermaids into hiding through conflict, and that's why they live in hiding till this day.
Early humans fought savagely over hunting and fishing grounds. Force was used against rival tribes and against any other competitive threat to a valuable food source. Could these paintings be a record of mankind's conflict with creatures that are now relegated to myth?
Nowhere in the documentary they tell us that this is fake. In reality, they constantly lead us to believe that this is 100% real. Naturally, Animal Planet got a lot of backlash from this, and people demanded a public statement. So Animal Planet saw themselves with two options: either publicly address the situation or never mind. They doubled down. Releasing a follow-up called Mermaids' New Evidence just a year later.
Tonight, an interview with Dr. Paul Robertson, where new evidence of mermaids will be revealed.
Oh my God!
Mermaids, the new evidence, tonight at 10. Only on Animal Planet.
This one was longer and very boring to watch. I had to pause midway through to take a break, because my ADHD brain just couldn't handle it. Mermaid's New Evidence is framed as an interview/debate with our friend Paul Robertson. Hi Paul, long time no see. In the sequel, we are presented to new characters that all bring new evidence and talk about their new findings.
These are the only known photographs of Barnum's real mermaid.
And of course, making the government a huge roadblock in our protagonist's journey. Even calling a government official to directly refute the footage.
Our position remains that there is nothing unusual depicted in this footage. Nothing unusual.
And claiming it to be a seal when it is obvious that it is just a fake CGI mermaid. Phase 4 levels of CGI mermaid. I love how they never claim anything to be fake, just misidentified stuff. Animal Planet got what they wanted. Their biggest ratings hit in the history of the channel till this day, but it came at a cost. You again!
Hello, John.
Who are you?
Don't be alarmed, John. It's just me.
The elephant from the logo!
Yes, John, it's me. The elephant from the logo. I brought you here to tell you that I need your help. You have to expose the lies of the evil Sideways amp.
Well, they sacrificed their entire reputation of a trustworthy source of information. This type of content not just harms scientific education, it also helped create a subculture of scientific distrust. Since government cover-ups were such a consistent topic of discussion. While making my research for this video, I came across stories, horror stories, of people being fooled as kids and now realizing it was all fake, good ending, to teachers showing this in class to their students and teaching them that this was real, the bad ending. Not only that, but people till this day still re-uploading excerpts from these fake mermaid documentaries without giving any disclaimer that it came from fake documentaries. And in some cases, too many for comfort, people are still claiming that the documentary was 100% real. People are still believing it till this day. These ones in specific, I found them in a very well-informed social media platform. If you know, you know. Animal Planet is not blameless either. They themselves re-uploaded excerpts from these fake documentaries onto their YouTube channel, not giving any disclaimer that it came from a fake documentary. This harms scientific education tremendously. If the government lies about mermaids, the megalodon, Bigfoot, fucking Mothman, why wouldn't they lie about climate change? Or the COVID vaccine? However, a few years later, Animal Planet as well as Discovery got under new leadership that promised to cut this fake content altogether. Spoiler alert, they did not keep up with the promise.
And that's how I ran away from the IRS.
Cool story, bro.
By the way, I lost my sea monkeys. Did you see them?
Nope. As deceiving as it was, I believe Mermaids, the body found, as well as Mermaids' new evidence, could have been good. You know, if it was presented as a normal mockumentary, much like what was done with Dragons of Fantasy Made Real. When you know it is fake, you can just watch it as if it was a normal mockumentary, and you're gonna have a lot of fun doing so. It is fun and engaging while setting up a interesting premise with very cool characters. These documentaries had so much talent put in them. Much like what was shown in Dragons, I believe the adaptations an animal would need to become a mermaid are interesting. As silly as it is to incorporate the aquatic ape hypothesis, I believe at least it would be funny to explore that premise if it was presented as a normal mockumentary instead of outright lying to everyone. I mean, they clearly had the talent to pull something like that. The actors working on this documentary are super talented. You can clearly see the nerdy, kinda shy, yet passionate Paul Robertson, as well as the less shy but nervous, almost anxious Rebecca Davis. We were so close to greatness, like this close. But now for real, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Subscribe. I found this very cool rock at the beach. It looks like a knife. I called him Dwayne the Stabber. It is really cool.
28 stab wounds.
Dwayne the Stabber never lost a fight in his life. The favorite weapon of a British caveman.